it has been my solemn commitment to make sure that they feel fully supported in their efforts to get their families home, and that there is a syncing up of what I know to be sincere, relentless efforts within government and the families who obviously have one priority and one priority only, and that's getting their loved ones back.
President Obama speaking recently about changes to the U.S. hostage policy. The president speaking as we speak right now. We'll get to that in just a few moments. But there were serious critics to the announcement of that change coming from the White House. Will it make an even bigger market for American hostages in the Middle East? Joining us right now to discuss this is the former New Mexico Governor Bill Richardson. He also has a book called How to Sweet Talk a Shark, which describes his high-stakes negotiations with the likes of Fidel Castro, Saddam Hussein, and the Taliban, and 2 generations of North Korean leadership. He also has the nickname as the Undersecretary of Thugs while he served in the Clinton administration. It's an honor to talk to you now, sir.
Thank you, John. Thanks for the good reference there.
Well, it's appropriate nowadays. I want to talk about the critics here, and among them, the Washington Post editorial board. They write, quote, "Much of the latest kidnapping in Syria has been driven by money. European governments have paid millions of dollars in ransom. What will the kidnappers of the Islamic State think when they read that Mr. Obama won't stop the families from paying up?" Inevitably, the takeaway from the president's announcement is that he has given a green light for cash to be paid. Do you agree with that assessment?
No, I disagree. I think the policy is improved. You know, a lot of families have come to me in the past wanting help to get hostages out because they feel the government hasn't notified them, kept them abreast. But what has changed, John, is the U.S. won't prosecute families or organizations for paying ransom. Now, that's also going to create some problems, but at least families now with a new policy will have a special office within the bureaucracy to keep them notified. Secondly, they will have more notification, more consultation. The Privacy Act, a lot of national security questions will be waived. And lastly, I think what is most important is a signal that the United States, we're not going to pay ransom, because if you do, this is going to create more hostage situations. This is going to fund the terrorist groups. I think the Europeans have made a mistake in paying these funds. The only
so you're okay with this kind of buffer zone? You don't think that essentially is the same thing? The United States will negotiate on your behalf. They will take your money and perhaps facilitate giving it to these terrorists, but they won't do it directly themselves.
Yes, that's right. The fact that it is not U.S. government money, this also creates another problem. What happens if a hostage family is poor, doesn't have the resources?
Right, right.
So you know, there are a lot of issues here, but at the same time, I think it's a big, big mistake to say that a government will pay ransom for hostages, because it's going to increase dramatically. It's going to fund these terrorist groups, and that's what they want. This is a new tool of terrorism, kidnapping hostages, especially Americans.
All right, Governor, our time is short here. I do want to ask you a quick question. The Iranian negotiations, they've been delayed again, but also going on the sidelines, the negotiation to bring home U.S. Marine Amir Hekmati, this family making a formal plea for his release. If you were helping negotiate his release, how would you handle it?
Well, I would link to the Iranians. I would say, look, part of the package, if you want a deal, a nuclear deal with the United States, release the Marine Amir Hekmati, release the Washington Post reporter. And I would have gone a little beyond that. I would have said, start behaving with Hezbollah, with Hamas, stop helping the Syrians, stop funding terrorist groups. But I think if the administration pulls off this deal on nuclear issues, it's a step in the right direction. But the fact that it's now extending another week means that there are serious
All right,
problems.
Governor, we'll have to leave it there. Serious concerns indeed. We'll have to have you back to discuss those. Newsmax Now continues after this.